Alright y'all, welcome to episode 1. Today we are doing none other than Parliament's Mothership Connection. Okay, P-Funk. So there's a reason why I'm picking this album for my first album review. This is pretty much gonna set the standard for most of my album reviews. I have 3 categories to 11 each. I don't know. First category is originality. Second category is musicianship. Those 2 categories are pretty self-explanatory. The third category is funk factor. Now, funk to me is pretty much the best of any genre. It's not just one genre to me. It's what makes a genre. What kind of the funk kind of carves a niche into what makes a type of music a certain type of music, I feel. It's like the elbow grease or the soul that you put into it. So that would be funk factor for me. So all out of 11, total score would be 33. For this album review, episode 1, Mothership Connection by Parliament gets a perfect score of 33. Now, why does it get a perfect score of 33? To me, it just represents evolution. It represents a peak, a climax of musical evolution from blues to rock and roll to what became funk. Funk, to me, the best funk at least, was an evolution of rock and roll, in my opinion. Of course, funk kind of started with James Brown, Bob Marley, but we'll get into that in the next episode. It went kind of Bob Marley and James Brown at the same time, and then literally part of James Brown's band, always interchanging, but left and joined Funkadelic and George Clinton. It was first Bootsy. I don't know if he left or he got fired. That's an interesting story. But Bootsy was the first to come on. I think 73, the first album he played with Funkadelic was America Eats Its Young, which is an amazing album. We'll definitely do a review for that. That's kind of where it all came together, but it all peaked and it all the roof came off for this album in 1975. In 1974, they came out with the album Up for the Downstroke, which they had a hit for the title track, Up for the Downstroke. But the single off Mothership Connection, of course, was Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, which broke the charts and which probably was the reason they were able to fund their Mothership tours and the rest of their tours, and pretty much why, everything happened from that point on, and why they were able to sustain the party, pretty much. And it's still going on, so fuck yeah. So, yeah. After Bootsy came in 73, it wasn't till, I'm pretty sure, Mothership Connection, where Fred Wesley and Maceo came and joined George Clinton and P-Funk and Parliament. And you can tell they're all over this album. They're just ripping all over this album. Just so that kind of Bootsy with Maceo, they understood what James Brown was bringing to the table and the seriousness and the tightness that he wanted and the standard that he had. And he was strict. It's pretty well known. He was very, very strict. So going over to George Clinton and Funkadelic, I'm pretty sure George was strict in a sense, but definitely not strict in a lot of other senses. James Brown would have been definitely a lot more loose, definitely more of a party vibe, definitely more of a freedom thing. And I think that's what really evolved the music and the musicianship itself. George wasn't really a leader like that. He was more of a, helping you channel whatever it took to get out, the expression onto whatever instrument or vocals, you're using. So, yeah, that's the climax right there. You have some of the best musicians in the funk business all coming together. And P-Funk and George were killing it before this, and just, it's like an all-star lineup coming together for a cause. Like, wasn't about anything but the movement and the cause, which was getting people together. And it's apparent. The first track, it's an intro. Anyone who's new to funk or new to P-Funk especially, it sets a blueprint for your mind on what to expect and how to act or how to have the right attitude, what kind of attitude it takes to kind of absorb this, because there's a lot going on in P-Funk and in the best music, like metal music, and there's a lot for your attention to grab, and that's important. Yeah, in track 2, it introduces the first character in the Parliament Funkadelic album saga. George always says that characters last longer. Of course, that's true. And yeah, you meet the first one, the protagonist, Star Child, in track 2. And yeah, yep, on Funky UFO, track 3 is a cryptic story that I'd like to talk to people about. If you guys have any ideas of what it might mean, I have my own ideas, but we could talk about it maybe in another video. Track 4 is Super Groovalistic Pros to Funkstification, which is the name of the song. This highlights Bernie Worrell, who is the synthesizer genius, wizard, classically trained, and actually wrote a lot of the horn arrangements for Fred and Maceo to go along with everything else that was going on. Just his layers and synthesizer. He took synthesizers to a whole new level. So track 4 and track 7 really, really, really show off his amazing wizardry on the synthesizer, and pretty much change the game in electronic music from that point on. Handcuffs is a great song. It brings sexiness to the album. It brings a flow. Kind of slows it down, but not really. It's still kind of cruising. And the vocals on this track are just outstanding. They accentuate everything they can. That's what funk is to them. Glenn Goyne, one of his first albums with the group, I think he was on Chocolate City before this, and George, and they all just shred that song vocally, and it's a funky song, it's a sexy song, it's great. And then yeah, Tear the Roof Off, and then Thumpasaurus, which is track 7, which is another synthesizer heavy, groove heavy song. And yeah, just really, really, really flawless. We're gonna review a lot of flawless albums, and this one sets the standard. 33, perfect score, P-Funk. I'm biased a little bit, of course. You can see my sweatshirt. P-Funk's my favorite group. Parliament Funkadelic. We're gonna do a lot of those albums. We're gonna do a lot of other albums though too. But this is episode 1, and yeah, I'm just trying to have fun and vibe with people. Comments, subscribe, follow, whatever. Bleh. Whatever. Cool. I think I'm doing it right this time. Peace.